Welcome to episode 11 of the TMA Talk Show, where we shine a light on the voices and stories shaping the TMA community. Today, we're spotlighting the leadership journeys of women in IP. We want to explore pivotal career moments, challenges these amazing women overcame, and how the workplace is evolving for women in the IP field.
That is right. We are going to dive into how these amazing women are shaping the industry and also chat about the unique role women play in driving global change and their hopes for the future in their leadership in intellectual property.
Welcome to the TMA Talk Show. The TMA Talk Show will take you into the heart of the TMA community, highlighting the trademark administrators as a force to be reckoned with within the intellectual property landscape. Hosted by yours truly, Emily Quackenbush, along with several surprise guest hosts, the TMA Talk Show will focus on the IP community, collaboration, and the unique contributions of each episode's special guests. This is the TMA Talk Show. Because while the rest of the world is busy building, marketing, and launching, the trademark administrator is quietly, or not so quietly, making sure you still own the name you're so proud of. Oh, and hey, of course, this goes without saying, but All Legal is a legal tech company and not a law firm. Nothing here in this episode should be considered legal advice, and this presentation expressed the views of our speakers and not necessarily those of All Legal, the TMAE, or the views of the hosts.
We could not be more excited to have these two amazing guests with us. First, I want to introduce you to Katherine Hely. She is the founder of Caribbean IP, where she has focused her entire legal career on providing IP services in the Caribbean. Along with her team, the firm handles trademark clearance, prosecution, and enforcement matters across the entire Caribbean region, covering 28 jurisdictions in total. Katherine is responsible for oversight of all client-facing matters with a special focus on trademark prosecution and portfolio management. She maintains an active and hands-on approach to her work and is dedicated to ensuring a personalized client experience. Katherine is a graduate of Vanderbilt University Law School and obtained a legal education certificate from the Eugene Dupuch Law School in the Bahamas, part of the University of the West Indies, to further her understanding of the Caribbean region's legal systems. She holds a bachelor's and master's degree in biology from the University of Tennessee, Chattanooga, and the University of Virginia, respectively. Her diverse studies have given her a unique perspective on the Caribbean region and inspired her to provide efficient and reliable services in a complex part of the world. She is also an enthusiastic member of INTA and regularly writes articles for the INTA Bulletin, serves on both the Programming Advisory Council as well as the Latin America Caribbean TMO subcommittee of the Trademark Office Practices Committee, and has led TOPSY's Caribbean-focused project team in organizing and facilitating several cross-Caribbean trainings for the local IP offices. Welcome, Katherine. That was a mouthful.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
And I am happy to introduce and welcome Mariana Noli. Mariana Noli is currently serving as chair of the International Law Interest Group of the California Lawyers Association, CLA, Intellectual Property Law Section. She is also the DEI liaison of the IP section and one of the founders of the Women's IP Today, a nonprofit legal organization in California, organized exclusively for the purpose of pursuing the interest of professional women and female workers in the workplace. Mariana is a multilingual attorney, born in Buenos Aires, Argentina, and licensed to practice law in Argentina and California. In 2014, she founded NOLI IP Solutions PC firm, a small international IP boutique based in North County, San Diego. Mariana also currently serves on the International Trademark Association's Right of Publicity Committee. Also, just a side note that I have sat in on one of Mariana's Women's IP Today's monthly meetings, and it was such an informative and welcoming environment. It was wonderful and supportive conversation, and I look forward to attending many more chats and hopefully becoming much more involved in the future. Welcome, Mariana, and thank you for being with us today.
Hi, Emily. Thank you for having me.
Yes, of course. And I hear that you literally just ran a marathon, what, yesterday?
Not yesterday, but last Sunday. And this was a
Okay.
very special marathon. And I do want to share this with everyone that may be listening to us. It was called Every Woman's Marathon. So most of the women that were running were women, and we were celebrating the accomplishment of women in general in society. And it didn't matter if it took you 3 hours or 7 hours or 5 hours, if you are very thin and very athletic, or if you are not that thin and not that athletic. There were ladies running with twin babies on a stroller. So it was certainly very appropriate for today's episode, because we're going to be talking about women and all that we have accomplished. So we were
That's wonderful.
celebrating that.
Yeah, a celebration. And again, another very welcoming environment. So, okay. Well, Catherine and Mariana, now that everyone knows a little bit about you, we are going to switch it up just a little bit and jump into our rapid fire questions. So let's start with Mariana. Mariana, can you please describe your leadership style in one word?
I would use the word learning.
All right, so you're learning as you go. I mean, that's
And I'm learning
probably,
from everyone in my
yeah,
team. And I
exactly.
don't
Yeah.
have all the skills that everybody has in my team. So I like to be with people that teach me things and make me better. So that has been my leadership style. I don't have all the skills that the people that work with me have, but they bring things that I don't have. We're just one person. So in a team, we do a lot better. Yeah, I'll use
Yeah,
that
and
learning.
yeah, and we learn as we go. I mean,
Yes. Yeah.
everybody's
Yeah.
different. Every style is different, and we're always learning as we go. Catherine, what about you? What is your leadership style in one word?
So, I mean, my first thought was reluctant because I didn't always plan to do this, but I think really I would have to say supportive. I try to provide a supportive environment, and I ran that past my, one of my lead paralegals, and she said that was okay.
Getting
That's great.
approval from your TMAs, I love it.
All right. So, Catherine, who is a leader that you admire and why?
So I saw this question ahead of time, and it was like, is this just like an open-ended anyone ever, or are we looking at like our IP world?
Be anybody.
Anybody. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'd have to,
Anybody.
okay. In that case, I say my great grandmother who lived to be 110 years old. Her name was Abby Crawford Milton. She was so cool. She's now in a statue in Nashville because she was so involved with the women's suffrage movement in Tennessee, particularly. And she really helped lead the way to like Tennessee ratifying the 19th Amendment. And I named my daughter Crawford after her. Everybody's like, what a weird name. And that's because it's her, it comes from
Aw.
this family member. But she was born in like, I think she was born in 1880, and I knew her as a little kid. Like she lived long enough that I knew her, and she was a lawyer. She went to law school, even though she never really practiced law. But she ran a newspaper. She was a poet. She traveled the world. She was just such a cool lady. So I'm like, if I can do, half of, not even half, like just a third or a quarter of what she ever did, that would be amazing.
Oh, I love
Wow.
that. I had
That
no
is
idea.
so inspiring.
Okay. So, Mariana, what about you? Who's a leader that you admire and why?
Oh, many. Many women that have opened doors for me and that had led the way. But I guess I'm going to talk about my friend that had a birthday yesterday. She's currently serving as the president of the National Italian American Bar Association, Alice Salvo. I met Alice when she was president of the Italian American Lawyers Association of Los Angeles. She's the second female president of the NIAVA, National Italian American Bar Association. And I like her leadership style, and she gets things done, and she doesn't, there is a lot of sometimes to get things done. And I'm going to make this comment because I am Italian American, so I don't want to offend anybody, but you have two Italians in the room and you have five different opinions, meaning like it's very difficult for everybody to agree on something, but she gets everybody to agree and she gets things done. So a shout out to her. And she opened the path for me to leadership back in 2018, and currently she asked me to be her West Coast Vice President for NIAVA. So I get to watch her in action, and I learned a lot. And she runs her own law firm. I mean, um, she had a stellar career, legal career as well. She's not in IP, but I really admire Alice. And definitely a lot of my colleagues in the women's IP today community. I look up to them. I don't have children, but I was a foster mom briefly, and to navigate leadership roles and have the responsibility of children, I admire you guys, because it's you have to put too many hats. So yeah, so shout out to a lot of my colleagues that are doing that, leading law firms and leading households. Yes.
I love it.
I know.
Thank you.
So inspiring. Okay, Katherine, what's the best leadership advice you have ever received?
I mean, this is hard, but I think I'd have to say to really be comfortable to follow your own style and to trust in your own style and not feel like you have to do exactly what someone else did, but to say, okay, how can I do this differently? Like you don't have to be like everyone else when you're leading.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's okay to think outside the box. It's okay to ask for forgiveness later, which I find myself doing a lot. Whatever.
Me too.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Mariana, over to you. How do you handle setbacks as a leader?
I never expected to be a leader, honestly. I think maybe my mom had a vision. My mom has been gone for 4 years now, and she was the closest person to me and my best friend. And I have a lot of more appreciation for what she did now that she's gone, unfortunately. But I have to say, she always told me that I was a great leader. And I'm a little girl, right? And I'm thinking, what does she see? I don't see that. To be a leader, you need people to follow you. And to be honest, I've been bullied when I was younger. And when I started my business, it was hard to find the right people that would help me. Whenever I have my doubts to this day, I remember my mom's words, "You're a great leader." So I try to hear what people tell me, even though, when you're leading, it's that hard balance. You need to get things done. And if you listen to everybody else, you don't get anything done. So there is one point where you have to be like, okay, this is what we're doing. But as far as challenges, just like I ran that marathon a week and a half ago, I wasn't the fastest. I didn't care. My friend and her husband were 45 minutes ahead of me. That's their timing. That's their training. I focus on me, very similar to what Katherine said, one step in front of the other. And I have to tell you that, not sure if it's because I'm a first generation immigrant in the United States, or maybe I'm not as bright, but I had plenty of challenges. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe sometimes you're not even intending to become a leader. It's in the cards for you.
Yeah, totally. Our dear friend Rosa Jimenez, she ran a marathon. Was it last year, Kara? Gosh, I think time goes by so quickly.
I think it was the same one that you did, Mariana, every women's marathon. She did that last year.
Okay.
This is sorry, I'm not promoting, I'm not getting paid by them, but it's a great place. I was blown away, but it was tailored towards us women. Yeah.
Okay.
That's
and
amazing.
I think the same mindset was in place, one foot in front of the other. And I don't know if I'm quoting the story correctly, but this is also very inspirational. She was almost at the end and she's like, I don't know if I can do this. And Kara, correct me if I'm getting the story wrong, but a fellow runner who she did not know was just like, well, you've come this far. You are almost there. You have come this far, put one foot in front of the other, just do it. And she did it. And we were so proud of her. And when she told that story, I think we even all kind of teared up and we were like, oh, yeah, it was pretty amazing. And I just want to, compliment your mom, Mariana, how she told you that you were a great leader. That's at least it was a compliment, because when I would hear my dad when I was growing up, a little girl, And he always used to complain to my mom, oh, she's so stubborn. You know, she's so, why is Emmy so stubborn? And she's so bossy and blah, blah, blah. Why is Emmy so bossy? And I would hear my mom tell my dad, leave her alone. Let Emmy do what she wants to do. Let her be bossy, you know, let her be stubborn. Because one day, as an adult, it's gonna favor her. It's gonna get her places. So
That's
let
so true. That's
yeah,
so true. And like we
yeah,
have two little girls, and they're
yep,
like, they are very opinionated. They are
yep,
very independent. They're very headstrong.
yep,
And as a parent, it's very frustrating sometimes,
yep.
but it's also like, this is going to serve them well, because I was not like that as a kid always. And it's kind of like that. Those are skills that have served you very well. And like, obviously, like you're so successful. Like it's,
I hope I'm not too bossy anymore. But yeah, and my mom would just, yeah, don't tell your little girls not to be bossy, Catherine. Let them
no,
leave them be. Yeah, let them
I
be.
just let them
And
boss each other as long as they're
there you
not
go.
bossing me
Yeah,
around.
that's right. Oh, and I used to tell my dad, my poor dad, bless his heart, he's still around, and you know, he would I would tell him, "You're not the boss of me." Oh, it was, yeah. So anyway, moving on. We're going to move on now. So, okay, we're going to dive into your leadership journeys. Catherine, okay, Caribbean IP, 28 jurisdictions. We want to hear a little bit about your start. And I'm curious, why the lovely tropical regions of the Caribbean? And also in that story, please also share a little bit about a pivotal career moment and how you've seen the workplace evolve for women in IP. So tell us about your start and also the pivotal career moment and how it's evolved for women.
Yeah, sure. So okay, so it's interesting that this is a question, because I was just on a panel at leadership last week, and we kind of talked about this story, and so it really like brought a lot of memories, you know, to the front of my mind. But you know, my background was in the sciences, and I kind of through a very serendipitous reconnection with a long lost family member, I ended up going to law school to work in the Caribbean on IP matters, like with a very specific focus. I had a cousin named George Moore who was very, very involved with the INTA community. And he had this very cool practice, and he was alone though. He was a solo practitioner with, you know, he had a support staff, he had a team, but he was the only attorney. And so he saw an opportunity in me that I didn't really see, you know, that I never had thought about law school, but he had such a cool career. And, you know, he inspired me to go to law school. So I did that. And then when I was a first year law student, he was taking me to INTA already. It was amazing. So my first INTA was in Seattle in 2009. I was a first, you know, just coming off my first year of law school. And I really pretty much knew nothing about trademarks at this point, but I came along, and he introduced me to everybody. He's like, well, he used to call me his niece, but he's like, this is my niece, Catherine. She's going to, you know, take over this practice someday. And he introduced me to all of his friends. He knew a lot of people, and it was just really amazing. And that was kind of the moment I was like, this is for me. I love this. Like, this is awesome. You know, I know I can learn the laws and do all those things, but like, I love this community. It was a big part of it, was just seeing what a cool community INTA is and the greater IP community. And so I started working with him. And then, you know, you ask about a pivotal career moment. Well, I graduated from law school in 2011 and started working with him. And about a year and a half later, he passed away very suddenly from esophageal cancer. And so we had not planned on that. I mean, we had planned on working together forever. You know, he was one of those people that was so vibrant and so full of life until he wasn't, that, you know, we thought he'd be going to enter when he was 100, and I'd be with him and we'd be working together, and it would all just kind of fall into place over time. And so when he passed away, suddenly it was like, we don't have a succession plan in place. You know, what are we doing here? And, you know, I continued to work at the firm. You know, I was the attorney working there. And thank God he had taken me to INTA early on, because I knew the clients, you know, I felt comfortable with them, even though I was still relatively junior in the greater scheme of things. So I kept working for a bit, and then eventually I tried to buy the practice from his estate, and that completely fell apart. And then it was one of those moments where it was like, well, I went to school to do this job. This is the only job I know how to do. I don't want to go and become, you know, a trust attorney. I don't even want to become an IP attorney at a big firm. Like, I want to do what I've learned to do in the Caribbean. And so I started my own firm, and it was December 2014, and it was totally never what I had planned to do. But I did it. And when I first started, it was me. And so I went from having an office with support staff and paralegals to me being alone in a little teeny room with a laptop, being like, okay, how do I send a DHL? Like I knew how to do the client work and things, but it's like, how do I do this other stuff that I just never had to handle before? And it was also, you know, around the holidays, and it was in Florida. Like I'm a member of the Florida bar, so I have to, you know, follow their rules. I got one chance to send a letter to all the clients to say like, hey, I'm leaving. You can choose to stay with the old firm, which they sold to some other people. It's like, you can choose to come with me. You can do something else. I had one chance at sending this letter to people. And then I just had to like say a prayer and, you know, cross all my fingers and toes and just hope that you know, everything we'd done over the last several years worked, and that they would, you know, people would follow me. And they did. It was like, not everyone, but it was like when the first bigger clients started coming, it's like, okay, this is all going to be okay, you know? And it was it was really scary. It was really, you know, it's exciting, but it was kind of terrifying. Like there were days I would sit in my office and just like cry. Not all day, but you know, I'd be listening to Fiona Apple or something, like angsty music, crying, and it's like, okay, you know, pull it together, Katherine, you're going to be fine. And it's like, you know, then I would get, you know, the clients would actually pay me, or like new clients would come on board. Things would happen that would keep me going. And I think that like my whole career, because the firm turned 10 last December, you know, we're almost 11 actually now. And I now have 10 people that I'm working with. So we're a team of 10. I have amazing people. And I just feel like all along the way, the things that I've needed, the people I've needed have come along at the right time. And so I don't want to just be like our entire careers are luck, and, you know, but I'm a firm believer that things happen for a reason and when they're supposed to. And if you're keeping open and curious to, you know, the possibilities, then things kind of work out, you know, not without problems along the way, of course, but you just always, you know, I feel so fortunate in my career. It's been really amazing.
And people follow great leaders, so that's a compliment to you. So
Well, thank you.
what a great journey. Yeah, no, I mean it.
Yeah, incredible.
Yeah, I was at that session last week, like Catherine spoke at. It was super inspiring. I loved it. I mean, all of you guys had great stories, but I think everyone really appreciated that.
Well, thank you. I mean, it's one of those things that I think, you know, we all have these stories, and it's, you know, we don't always have an opportunity to tell them. And so I think I just love hearing about, you know, people's stories. And I think I'm a very curious person, and I like knowing people, and I like knowing more about them. So I think the more you talk to people, the more you hear more stories like this. You're like, wow, you know, like Kara, the thing that we did last week, it was also a tabletop, you know, there were discussions after people spoke, and it was smaller discussions within tables, and everyone had a story to tell. I mean, it was really, really cool.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Catherine. So Mariana, what about you? We would love to hear about how you got started in your journey in practicing in Argentina and California. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, I don't think that I guess the definition of luck that I love, Catherine, I don't know if you've heard this, when opportunity meets preparation. And as I was listening to you, you were already working side by side with your uncle. And then due to unfortunate circumstances, you had to grow up faster in every possible way, personally and professionally, and you did it. And we're listening to your story because you're a success story, you know, which is great because you inspire other people that may be in that situation, crying in their office because they don't know what to do. So kudos to you. That's awesome. Um, I'm going to talk about something. You're welcome. I really believe this. So it's not easy to manage even a small team. So I know the challenges. It's very difficult to be a leader and to be a good leader. And I agree with Lemily that if people are following you, it's because you're a good leader. Yeah. So it's not easy to be a good leader. I guess in my situation, I came to the United States with a job offer right out of law school. I had practiced maybe half a year at my father's law firm. So I was I don't like the word spoiled, but let's just use it because my father was the owner of the law firm. So it wasn't that challenging for me to get a job there working with him. And this contact that I had in the US hired me to come to the US, came to the US, took the bar exam. I didn't pass the first try. It took me 3 shots. So I had to develop that resilience. And, you know, I guess that's another thing. Like we all like to win, but you need to keep on trying despite the failed attempts. So that's another thing I've learned that I would want to put out there to people, because I celebrated last Friday, one of my mentees passed the bar. And 6 months ago, 5 months ago, I remember telling her, you need to keep on trying. She's like, oh, maybe I'll take a break. No, do it now because everything is fresh. Keep on trying. If you can, that's my advice. You won't remember if you did it 2 times or 4 times or the first time. Um, and shout out to her. I won't say her name, but I'm really proud of her. So, yeah, to keep on trying. Unfortunately, I do want to say this because it inspired me to create a nonprofit. I had a female partner that was actually the less supportive of me and my legal career, and I wish I could say different, but that was not the case. And I understand now how difficult it is to be a boss, but unfortunately, she really didn't want me to grow. She felt a little bit threatened, which I don't know why, because she was brilliant and, but we're all human. We all have our insecurities. And so I had no choice but to become my own advocate and a leader overnight. So it wasn't something that I would have chosen. I think that if you find somebody that you admire and you can work with them, um, there are a lot of benefits to that, because I feel still I have 20, 30 years to go in my legal career. And it's great when I have a senior mentor that still, run things by that person. But yeah, so since people may be listening, if you are in a position of leadership as a female, work through your insecurities. Remember when you were in your 20s, these people are not going to come and take your job. See what opportunity you can give them. So I guess that's what I would say. And I don't know if I answered the question, but that's where I'm at now. We're going to be 12 years old next year. And I guess I was put in a corner where nobody was feeding me work. So I had to develop client development skills. And I didn't buy a practice. I didn't inherit a practice. I stayed in the United States, and the rest is history. Now I'm here. So yeah.
That's great. I know sometimes you do have to be your own advocate too. I've been there where I didn't have a supportive manager during one of my jobs, and it makes me so sad, especially for women. I feel like we should all lift each other up. So we'll talk about that in a bit. But Catherine, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, Mariana, as you were talking, it's like I'm sitting here nodding because, I think there's an older generation. I don't want to like make this generalization about all women who are above a certain age in IP, but I do think there's this kind of, there was a different approach maybe to leadership and that sort of thing. And I think there's a lot of people who came before us who were, had to work really hard in a kind of a man's world, and then they maybe are not.
Yeah.
Instead of like kind of reaching out and pulling other people up, they are kind of like, well, I had to do this, so now you have to do it. And I think that that's really changing. I mean, I know I feel like I'm getting ahead because we're going to talk more about mentorship, but.
That's so true. Well, one more question for you, Mariana. Is there, I guess, a defining moment in your career that stands out to you, or a significant shift or change that you've observed for women in this field? Anything that comes to mind?
I think we are creating the change, but Catherine had a really good point. Granted, my supervisor was not that much older than me. She was only 8 years old. So when I think about it and the people that work with me, and I know this is the TMI talk show, I have to say many times at the beginning of the firm, I was like, I don't know if I can do this. And one of my current paralegals said, I believe in us. We can do this. So I have to say this. And that meant a lot to me because it wasn't just me. I wasn't just doing it for me and my ego. My law firm has my name. There is a lot of that went with making my father proud. But on the other hand, I did it for the people that did believe in this. And I still do it because it's not you create a law firm and you're done. It's every day. You have to wake up, you have to work hard, you have to hustle. So yeah, for her. And then her daughter was an intern. We had other people that came along. Yeah, so I guess the one thing that I faced that I do want to make a little bit of a reflection, I had been in the situation where my old supervisor was, and I told myself, okay, watch it, because we're human, right? There's going to be younger people that are much brilliant than we are, that are going to come and are going to threaten us in some sort of way. And it's going to be up to us to say, okay, it stops here. So this is a human trait that I think that we don't have to forget. Um, and I guess, yeah, the moment was when my former supervisor told my friend who was the office manager to tell her that after 3 years, I passed the California bar exam. I was told not to work as an attorney in any legal matters. She wanted me, no offense to being a paralegal. I love being a paralegal. I've learned a lot. I always tell my paralegals that an experienced paralegal knows a lot more than an attorney that's starting out. And sometimes, like I learned so much from my paralegals. But you pass the bar. Obviously, I was an attorney already. And when she put me in that corner, again, I had to decide, what do I do? So, and here I am. So I hope that was a pivotal moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. That's great.
Woo, I'm pumped.
I know.
Sorry.
This is
Yeah.
nothing
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
can do,
I
like-
wish I could tell you everything was
Those are like
fairy tale.
fighting-
It's not a
yeah.
fairy tale. No, no.
No, and that's part of a great journey, right? It's not all a paved way. It's a bumpy road to where we've all come to, and sometimes those are fighting words. Like I'm just like, ooh, I'm getting pumped up because there are, let's call them challenges, right?
Yeah.
I've been through some challenges and I've been told some things and I guess you kind of just have to turn it around, flip it, and almost embrace those things that you've been told to make it, to make yourself even stronger. Take those words and embrace them and put them in your favor. M does what she wants. M's bossy. M's stubborn. Okay, I'll take it. I sure am, and I'll use those words in my favor. So
Yep.
anyway.
And then you show people your success. You grow
Yeah.
and you show people your success as you grow, and you don't have to be negative about it, but you just take it and go with it. Go, look, I'm going to, I've had a few of those moments too. And it's like, well, I'm going to show you, and I'm not going to be a jerk about it, but I'm going to show you when we, succeed.
Yeah, show ourselves. I have to tell you, Em, when you're talking about you as a little girl and your father saying you were bossy, there is this really cute, like one little girl saying it's called leadership skills, and she's pointing out something at a little boy. Because, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
seriously. And, kudos to my mom for saying, leave her alone. That is one strong woman protecting another soon to be strong woman. And my dad's going, all right, okay, I'll step back. So anyway, yeah, but this is pumping me up. I'm, making me feel strong.
you are.
But all right. So you've both made an impact in the IP space. How have you influenced the industry or legal landscape, and who has inspired you to drive change? Katherine, let's start with you.
Oh boy. Okay. This is hard. I was like, my first thought was like, I don't know about that. I was like, I don't know if I've done that. It's like, what have I inspired? I mean, I was thinking, and I don't know if this is exactly what you all are like looking for, but one of the things that's kind of become really important to me over the last few years is brand action, which is something that you all, I know, had an episode all about highlighting the work that brand action is doing. But I'd like to think that maybe that's one place that I'm making an impact just by, our firm I think we were the first sponsor that signed on to that. And I was so excited when, Phil and Jackie and everybody started that initiative. It's like, this is amazing because I think one of the things I love the most about what we do, it's not, I mean, I love the day-to-day work, don't get me wrong, but it's really our community. And it's that I've gotten to meet all these wonderful people from around the world. And so when something bad is happening, it's like, you want to find ways to help. And I think that's what, for me, brand action, like being really involved with brand action, trying to be outspoken about that and get other people involved has been really important, because it's a great way for us to use that energy to help others. And so to me, that's been something that's really important. So it's not really it's not the legal landscape per se, but it's our community, and it's making a change in our community. So that's one thing that I thought of when I was reading this question.
Yeah, and it's for such good causes. It's amazing. And I think, well, I don't think I know, one of the founders happens to be a woman. So just saying.
Yep. Absolutely.
Mariana, how about you?
I think that we are creating a lot of change now as we speak, even with this episode and sharing experiences. But I'm very proud of the impact that Women's IP Today has had thus far. I don't know if maybe in a year nobody remembers what it is, nobody understands what we did in the past decade, but when I look at the Women's Leadership IP initiative that was launched during the pandemic in 2020 by INTA, and now you go to the annual meeting and you see the breastfeeding room and all the things that are tailored towards women that are building a career. These are not things that necessarily I personally benefited from, because like I share with you guys, I don't have kids of my own, but I guess I was my mother's best friend. And I know that her and I talked a lot about work. And when the time came to make a decision, she continued to work, but part-time, and she took the main responsibility for the children, which is the reality of most households. And when you love our careers like we do, that didn't seem to be fair. So I started to think, maybe inspired by all of these things as a little kid, that my mom kept telling me, you're a great leader, blah, blah, blah. So then I was like, okay, here is a woman I love. She would have loved to maybe develop her career a little more, and maybe I don't want to say we set her back, because she loved being a mom, but you guys understand. Now you fast forward 40 years, it's a different world. There are people like Katherine that are leading a firm that have 2 children that are, I don't know, 12 or 10. And yeah, and that was not as common before. That was really not that common. I remember starting at the first, well, I worked in Chicago for a few years, this international law firm, very well known in our field, and there were 3 females when I took the job, and there was one allegedly partner, but it was actually a contract partner. So I kept looking in leadership, okay, who I get identified with, and there was nobody, or at least who I wanted. I guess that's what we are doing. We are creating that change for you guys' daughters, for my niece. Yeah. They're going to be like, oh, I want to have kids, but that doesn't mean like I cannot lead my own firm with 10 employees in the Caribbean, you know? Yeah. So this is change. And if I go away, if Women's IP goes away for whatever reason, I do want to say what we've done so far, having people that have the real power to create real change. Thank you for listening. That's all I can say. Yeah.
Well, first of all, it's not going away. You have to
Yeah.
I hope so, but
you have to keep going. One foot in
And
front of the other. You said it yourself.
yeah.
Mariana, it was funny when we were getting ready for this podcast, I didn't realize I'd been to one of your events. Like I found this picture from Barcelona. I was like, oh, I went to this. And I was like, this is great. It was a great like tea that you put on there. And I think what's really neat about it is, like, I think I agree with Em. I don't think this is going anywhere, but I do think anytime we have the chance to create a space like you've created, where women are supporting each other and being kind of there to, help each other, bounce ideas off each other, send work to each other, just generally creating those spaces, I think it's so important. And I think, like with, women who, whether you have a family or don't, we all have a lot of hats that we wear. So, being understanding of that and creating a safe space, I think is so important. And you've really, grown. I've seen all the pictures. It's like you're growing and growing and growing. It's amazing.
It's so true. I mean, I think it's so important to have the support system. So I would love to talk about that a bit more. So mentorship specifically. So mentorship and sponsorship, I think are so important for advancing women, especially in the legal field. It's something I'm so passionate about for those that know me. Having mentors and a sponsor completely changed my career trajectory and my life, really. So I'd love to share, if you guys can share how you've guided rising professionals and maybe what advice you give to the younger talent that's entering the field. Maybe Katherine, do you want to start?
Sure. Yeah, no, Kara, I'm totally with you because my mentor changed everything for me. My cousin George completely changed the trajectory of my life. So, I'm ever grateful. And the fact that he was so good at networking and everything, and that he wasn't just like, oh, this is my network. Okay, maybe I'll introduce you. It was like, here is Katherine. She is with me at every step of the way, introducing me along, building me up to others. And I think that is something that I've tried to do, like with other people. We have team members who have gone with me to INTA. One of our IP manager, Lindsay, she's amazing. She was at Baker McKenzie for a long time before she joined us. And Baker McKenzie, I think they send a lot of attorneys, but they don't send a lot of paralegals into meetings, other meetings. And so bringing her along and like sitting her with me at the meetings, introducing her, and just always trying to, I really try to build other people up and showcase them and say, like Lindsay, I couldn't do what I do but for Lindsay and the rest of my team. My team is amazing. And so it's like, this is the person who you're emailing with who is amazing. She's, I want you to meet her. She's so great. She's going to be coming to the meetings. And I think doing that, like bringing people along with you and introducing others, and that doesn't even have to be within your own team, but just younger attorneys or attorneys who are new, like you go to a new meeting, Marks or ECTA or something, someone else new is coming, make them your buddy and bring them along and say, here's my friend, like you need to introduce, you need to meet them, I think who is everything in this world, in our community, like how, as far as building the business and what you have. So it's so important to build that community, and the way we do it is by helping each other. So I mean, that's what I've been trying to do. And then for younger people, I always just say, be open and be curious, because you never know where your opportunities are going to come from. I'm like a prime example of that. I never thought I was going to be doing science and research for the rest of my life. So here I am doing something totally different. But just being curious about people, because this is from a business development standpoint, but like I have somebody that I am now very close friends with who I've never really worked with. He doesn't send me work, but he talks me up to other people and he recommends other people, and he's a connector. So you never know where your work is going to come from, or your next connection, or your next job. And so just being open and never shutting down, saying, oh, this person is from someplace I don't care about, it doesn't matter. It's like, you never know. So being open, I think, is incredibly important. Sorry, that was long, but I'm very passionate about this too. So
I know we could have a whole episode on this. It's so important. To have those like connectors, super connectors too in your life, I think are really important. So Mariana, any thoughts, or want to share your thoughts on this area?
Yes, mentorship. I'm happy to share with those that are listening that from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. California time, we have a mentorship session, Women's IP Today. We do it over Zoom. We read cases, we strategize, we learn, we share different jurisdictions, we write articles for submission. I've been working with Eliana from Peru. I've been working with two mentees from Argentina. Now, well, both of them actually got job offers at big firms in Argentina. I also have two mentees from the US, from the Thomas Jefferson Law School. And I get so much mentorship from brainstorming with the students, honestly, because, not only the students, because Eliana manages the trademark practice at her firm. But yeah, I really enjoy mentoring. And when it comes to use of newer technology and things like that, they teach me a lot. I do have a funny story. So I'm in my mid 40s. When I was in my early 20s, I went to the Bar Association in Argentina and I asked, I'm looking to have a mentor. And whoever was there laughed. They laugh, literally. This does not exist. The term mentor in Argentina in the early 2000s did not exist. Now you fast forward to 2025 and we are all talking about mentorship and we are all talking about how important it is for somebody more senior to take in their wings, somebody that is more junior. It's funny. I guess my friend Alice could be considered a mentor when it comes to managing a law firm and business development. Um, I have lots of mentors, female and male, and mentors that refer me business, mentors that I see how they manage their teams, or I call them for things. But yeah, so, but I think it's very important, mentorship.
Yeah, that's great. And to have as many as you need, right? I think somebody referred to it as like your personal board of directors, right? So
Oh,
different
I
ones to
love
guide you through
Yeah,
that.
everything.
I love
Yeah.
that too.
Yeah.
Well, because different people have different skills and you need to seek out, like Mariana, I think we're in a similar boat. It's like we both own our own business. So it's like we're not only mentoring people just in the world of IP and, how to do our jobs, but it's like also, like you said, business, like you're running a business. It's a whole different thing. So it's sometimes you need to get different people to, help you along the way. And I think that's where especially women are so good overall. I think building each other up and being there to support each other. It's just sometimes you have to ask. I'm not always great at asking, but I'm trying to get better at that.
Yeah. And I guess one of my friends said last week, it's frustrating when you ask for help and you don't get the help, but don't get discouraged, because another thing that I kept thinking when you were just talking, Katherine, you don't know where things are going to come from.
You really
So
don't.
you may expect the support from this one person, and that person cannot, is unable, whatever reason. And then this other person, I mean, I do want to thank you guys for inviting me in this episode, because you're, putting some light on what we're doing with Women's IP today. So you're advocating for us. So thank you. Yeah.
Our pleasure, truly. But I'm curious. So in Argentina, if they don't have mentorship, what did you do? Would you say, okay, thanks, and then
Oh,
turn
no,
around and
they
walk
thought
away?
it was a funny topic. They're like,
Oh,
now they do.
okay.
It's
Okay.
it's like we don't realize, but change is happening. 20
Mm,
years ago, when I joined an international law firm, very well known in the INTA community, they didn't have a lot of female partners that had families. There was one or
got it.
two female partners. These are things that right now I look at my friends our age and they all have family. Like, we are creating a lot of change. Um, the only thing that we do have control over is how do we act ourselves when we are put in those situations that we can advocate for people. And I mean, it benefits you a lot. I can tell you with the students, I know that it helps me brainstorm cases and things like that. But so I don't know if I answer your questions, but right now everybody talks about mentorship. And but 20, I graduated law school 2001, 2002. And when I went to ask for a mentor, people were like, what is she talking about? It wasn't official. Maybe it was unofficial. Somebody in your family could be your mentor. But now bar associations have programs. Every bar association I work with has a mentorship program, right? So the Hispanic Lawyers Association of Illinois, the California Lawyers Association, INTA, every association has a mentorship program. It wasn't that common 20 plus years ago. Maybe my father was my mentor, of course. I don't want to discredit my father here because he was my first mentor, but
Well,
yeah.
at least he didn't call you bossy.
That's true. That's
I'm just
true.
kidding.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he did.
Yeah, behind your back. No, just kidding.
She's still bossy,
No, it's all in fun, but yeah, but I'll never forget it, and it sticks with me today. So all good.
And I don't think it's a negative. I think it's a
No, no,
positive,
he just didn't know what to do with it. He didn't know what to do with that. So
It's okay. Okay, let's talk about the global perspective. How are women leaders in this space uniquely driving global change? Katherine, you want to share your thoughts?
Sure. That's a big question. Like that feels very big. I think it's just, I think that really women are driving change, and it's what's the word I'm looking for? It's kind of like a gradual process, right? Like what we were talking about at the beginning, talking about women who are maybe less supportive. And now I feel like generally as a rule, many women are much more supportive of each other. And I think it's like we have this opportunity to make the practice of IP, the legal world, whatever, more supportive and more understanding of the unique kind of situations that women are in. So, who was I mean, this is not related to IP, but the woman who was the prime minister in New Zealand who had the baby. Do you remember this? Like several
Oh,
years back?
yeah, that was in
And
the sessions with the baby. Yeah.
yes, and I just remember that it's like whatever you think about her, I really know nothing about her politics, but just her having a baby and bringing it into the floor, that was such a, like, to me, such a surprising moment. And I think we have this opportunity to kind of like, for example, like on a smaller scale, people in my office work remotely for the most part, and they work flexible hours. So a lot of people do have children. So it's like, if they have to leave during the middle of the day to go get their kids and then come back, that is totally acceptable. Like we don't expect anyone to be there 9 to 5 every day. As long as the work is getting done and there's like some regular hours where they can communicate with clients, it all works. And I think just that understanding of like people have other lives, and you're going to get the best talent that you're going to get better talent if you support the people to live their life the way they need to live it, like their best life. I think like just expecting people to kind of, I think for so long, it was very much like, you must do everything in this box. It's the same way. You have to work these hours. You have to do it this wise. There's no flexibility. I think having more flexibility and kind of understanding leads us to have a better environment, and you just get better work product. You get better results and everything. I mean, when you have people who are happy and who have the flexibility to lead their lives. So I mean, I've always been able to do that. I've been very, very fortunate that I've been able to do that, but then I want to kind of pass that on. And it's not just me. I think this is more of a shift that we're seeing, and that women are driving, because the reality is, you have kids, even if like Mariana, you said you didn't have kids, but it's like, you still have a million different things that you're wearing hats on. Like I was saying earlier, like you have a nonprofit you're running, you have all these extra things you need to be able to take care of. And so I think we're more understanding of each other in that sense. Not that men can't be understanding. I just think as a woman, like we just have it, as women, we have very unique perspectives on that.
Yeah, different perspectives for sure. That's a great way to put it. Different hats too. So
Yeah.
many hats and different hats. Yeah. Okay, Mariana. So how are women leaders in this space uniquely driving global change? What are your thoughts?
We have learned what not to do also. Like we have seen what is not conducive to positive change. I really want to give a shout out to all the men that supported my career, because are countless. And it sounds like Katherine, her first mentor and main mentor in this journey was a male. So shout out to all of those guys. I was telling my friend husband last weekend when we all ran together how awesome he's here supporting his wife. I think that men that support women, it says a lot about them and how confident they are, because for you to give support to somebody else, you really have to be confident. So I yeah I don't think it's just women. I think it's men that realize of our unique talents and continue to open doors for us. So it's not just us driving the change. It's also those guys that remember that they have a mom and a sister and a daughter and a wife, and yeah. And at the end of the day, a wife is a business partner in the family venture. So, you know, if you are an heterosexual couple, I have to say this because, we live in a world where you can choose whatever you want to be. But I do have to say this. A shout out to the guys that are helping us drive the change. Um, And as far as our qualities, the best teams have men and women. I happen to have a team that it's mostly women. One thing that I've seen in one of my employees now, it's on maternity leave with her second kid, and she's worked with me for the longest time, and she became a better employee. Whenever she went into the clock, she was getting stuff done. Before the babies, she wasn't as sharp as when, and sorry, I'm not saying any names, you probably could figure out, but she's such a much better employee now as a mom, maybe the multitasking. Another thing, thank you, Catherine, for recognizing that some people don't sometimes, but even if you don't have children in the home, a lot of times, like we women are expected to care for the elder family members. And there are a lot of expectations that fall on our shoulders and maybe not so much on the men. And yeah, so I hope that the changes continue to be positive, but we do need guys to come on board with us. We really do, guys. So whoever is listening to this, yeah, be confident enough and support the woman in your life. Your
Support
daughters,
those
remember
bossy
your
women.
yes,
Yeah.
support those bossy women, because you know what? Think about it, being in business, you want to be with somebody that is strong and helps you navigate the difficult decisions of life. So I do want to say that, because sometimes when you come with this speech of we women don't want to be put aside because we are the female, because of our gender, we want to be on the table because of what we have to offer. It's not about a gender, it's about like your skills. Not every woman it's Catherine, or every woman it's Emily, or you, Kara. Like not every woman, it's like the skills. But yeah, so kudos to those guys. Anyways, I talk a
100%.
lot, Catherine. I think I'm beating you.
No. I think you're exactly right. I mean, you need allies. You need people who can see, even if they don't face the same issues, you need them to respect the issues and respect the women dealing with them, and be supportive. I mean, it's critical. You're totally right.
That kind of leads us into, I think, the next question we're going to ask. So we've talked a lot about how, strong leadership and supportive environments are really crucial, I think, for women in the workplace. So what do you think organizations, like in general, can do to better support women in leadership, especially in legal and IP, and why, representation at the leadership level for women is so important? Anything else to add on that, Catherine? I guess we can start with
Yeah,
you.
sure. I mean, I think that, I think giving women the tools to be good leaders and to also give them the flexibility to be leaders within their schedules, it kind of ties into what I was saying earlier, but just thinking about going to IP meetings, for example, and sometimes, there are other things that take us away from being able to commit to a week at INTA, for just using INTA as an example, because it's a longer meeting. But if you say, okay, well, we're going to pay and send you, but even though you can't be there the whole time, we trust that you need to be there. It's important. I think just the flexibility and giving people the tools they need, and then the flexibility to be able to do their thing in their own way, and recognize that that's important. And also, I just think generally the representation is so important, because if you don't have a diverse leadership team, then you don't have all the perspectives that could apply to all the people that they're leading. I mean, I think it's, if your leadership team is all the same, but you have a ton of diversity within your ranks, then your brains are not thinking about all the issues that those people may be facing. So I think that's a really, really critical reason to have the women there.
Okay. What about you, Mariana? Anything else to add? What organizations can do to better support women in leadership?
I think that INTA is doing a great job. I agree with Catherine. And we talk about INTA because we all got to know each other thanks to the International Trademark Association. Making sure that at the panel discussions you have females that are speaking, and in the leadership roles you have females that earn those spaces, certainly. But I have to say that we are very fortunate in our practice area. I don't necessarily think in the law. As you guys know, I'm involved with other attorney bar associations, and there are other areas of the law where criminal litigation, criminal defense, or maybe. So I guess in IP, I think that we're fairly diverse, and we're very aware of the value of having women in leadership. As far as tips, keep doing what you're doing. And one thing that Katherine said, that it's kind of a dream of many of us at Women's IP today. As you guys know, not everybody gets a chance to attend these meetings. So one thought that we had was to get a scholarship for one lady that deserves to go to the INTA meeting, and maybe the law firm's not sponsoring them, and we're talking $5,000, $10,000, whatever it is that it costs to go. So that's what we've been brainstorming, and we're hoping that we'll be able to do in the very near future. But yes, just having access to it, that it sounds like Katherine was very blessed to be able to do at a young age, and so did I with my setbacks, but it's not a given. There are a lot of very talented young women that want to go but cannot. So that is the challenge that we have ahead. The scholarship programs, right? And that's the other. You have the mentorship and maybe the scholarship, where you allowed somebody that really deserves the chance to be able to have it. Yeah. So that's the thing I guess we could do as organizations. Yeah.
Love that. Thank you.
Those are such great thoughts. Thank you both of you for being here and sharing your stories and all of your insights. There is so much yet to learn. Please share any final thoughts that you have, Katherine.
Well, I was just thinking about this. So this is just a little thing, but like, I know when I first started, like, it's easy to look back and be like, oh, it's so easy to do all these certain things when you go to meetings, meet people, blah, blah, blah. But when I first started, I was very, very shy. Like, I've always been an introvert, but I was also shy, and it's very scary. And to think about going up to people I didn't know, or like after a panel discussion where I saw somebody that I thought was inspiring, like, I don't know if I would have gone up to someone, when I first started. And so this is just a little thing for anyone who is newer out there, or, feeling more intimidated. It's like, we were all there at some point. Like, I still think of myself as like the dorky 14-year-old girl that I was. And so, we see each other, like, we come into each other's lives at times where we just see each other as a certain way. Like, we've missed all the growing parts that we've done. And so I would just encourage people to, not be intimidated, but like someone, like, if you ever want to chat, like, I love chatting with people. And I still, I find it strange that people are like, oh, you're a leader, they want to come talk to me. It's like, wait, what? Because I still feel like this kid sometimes. So anyway, I just would encourage people to not be intimidated, but to know that we're all very supportive, and, we're there to help you and help each other.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Any final thoughts, Mariana?
No, except thank you, everybody. And it was wonderful to learn about your journey, Katherine. Thank you for the inspiration. And
No, you too, Mariana. This is really, really fun. Thank you all so much. This is really cool.
I think a good way to summarize this, so going back to the marathon reference, right? I think success in IP requires like a marathon mindset, right? So taking one step at a time, staying consistent, and persevering through challenges. It's about resilience, adaptability, and mental toughness, supported by a strong network and mentors. I think that's so important. So, and to celebrate achievements along the way, keep your vision clear, and maintain patience and focus for the long run. And it's so important to lift each other up, like I said, especially as women. And we know it's not always easy. I think the journey can be full of challenges and bumpy roads, which is why having a strong supportive system around you matters so much.
that was wonderful,
Yeah,
Kara.
that was really good.
I have to say that during the marathon, towards the end, there was this sign of Legally Blonde. You remember that quote that says, like, it is so hard, right? Like going into Harvard Law School and
Right.
stuff. And I was like, okay, keep on going. Yeah, that was awesome.
That was wonderful. I thought you were going to say as if.
Yes.
No,
As
yeah.
if.
That was wonderful. And also, something struck me with your thoughts there, Kara. Celebrating our achievements. I think we underestimate ourselves a lot as well. I'm not sure what that is, but I think as women, we do that a lot, and we don't celebrate our achievements enough. We just keep going and going and going, and just keep, churning and churning, and we don't stop and celebrate the moment like we should, and we're not in the moment as often as we should be. And I'm guilty of that myself. So celebrate your wins, celebrate your achievements, and I'm going to just try to practice what I preach as well. But thank you so much again for being here, both of you. You both are true inspirations, and keep moving on and keep doing what you're doing for our wonderful community. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you,
all.
ladies.
All right, so each month we ask our guests to nominate a TMA or a TMA ally that demonstrates our core values of community and collaboration and their impact on the IP community. So this month we have Alyssa or Liz Lefevre-Shayo. She's the founder and CEO of Firm Forward, an international legal marketing and business development agency dedicated to helping law firms grow strategically and sustainably. Before launching Firm Forward, she spent nearly a decade as a trademark administrator managing large global IP portfolios, first at TRT Holdings for the Gold's Gym and Omni Hotel brands, and later at Collective Brands overseeing international IP for Payless Shoe Source, StrideRite, and related families of marks. She says her years as a TMA were some of the most rewarding in her career. The TMA community inspires her because TMAs are meticulous, creative problem solvers who quietly keep complex brand ecosystems running. She says watching this community gain visibility, recognition, and leadership opportunities continually motivates her, and sometimes even makes her consider going back to being a TMA herself. Congratulations to Liz. And then next we have Daniela Rojas. So Daniela, or Danny, Rojas has extensive international experience in IP law. She specializes in trademarks, copyright, unfair competition, and anti-counterfeiting, and holds 2 LLM degrees in IP from University of Alicante in Spain and Yeshiva University. Over her career, Daniela has led global trademark strategies and mentored colleagues, earning recognition for her professionalism and collaborative approach. Danny is a loyal and passionate advocate for the trademark administrators community. She actively champions knowledge sharing, networking, and professional growth within the IP field, fostering connections and supporting initiatives that strengthen the community. Her dedication reflects not only her love for trademark law, but also her commitment to empowering others in the profession. And she's also one of my dearest friends. So congrats to Danny and Liz.
Friends, we can't believe that we're about to wrap up a whole entire year. It's been an incredible experience, and let me tell you, we have learned a lot. Join us for episode 12, our final episode of 2025. The whole TMA Talk Show team will come together to go over our first year of the podcast. We'll chat about the highlights, the amazing adminspirations, and get a sneak peek of things that we are looking forward to in year 2, 2026. Please join us.
The TMA Talk Show is a production of Alt Legal and the Trademark Administrators Exchange. And before we go, a big thanks to our amazing team. Content producer, Tracy Cook. Chief editor, Jernez Owens. Editorial producer, Bree Van Thiel. Social media manager, Sam Hands. And original music by Sunny St. John. This was made by TMAs for TMAs. Until next time, stay inspired, stay curious, and always keep transforming your tomorrow.